Hey everyone, I'm Rather Incoherent, and this is the Harvey Walters deck that I played yesterday in the War of the Outer Gods on my channel. I played it alongside of Mark here again, and they absolutely crushed it. Mark did great, but Harvey is what's memorable about that scenario, because he was just disgustingly strong. Before that video, I've been thinking I was probably overestimating Harvey, thinking he was better than he was, remembering it wrong, and I should move him out of my S tier. And after that video, I'm convinced I probably should move him up in the S tier even higher. The core premise of this deck is very straightforward. Harvey Walters is the only investigator that's able to build a big hand deck with nothing but payoff cards. Because Harvey Walters' ability gives him one draw per turn, and his Vault of Knowledge gives him 2 hand size and 1 card per turn. So without putting anything in his deck, he's drawing 2 cards a turn, and he already has high enough hand size to capitalize on a Farsight. And you can keep building out this passive draw way of playing him. I've bought the World and a Grizzly Totem, and these are 2 more draws that I just get every turn where I don't have to invest anything into it. Harvey is, in my eyes, the only investigator that's able to just run like 2 assets and nothing else and then fully enable a big hand archetype. At no point in that scenario was I really struggling to get Farsight online. I always had plenty of cards in my hand. Even in the early phase when I was throwing out lots of assets, there was only like a turn where Farsight wasn't easily online, despite the fact that I don't run a single draw card. No Cryptic Research, no Deep Knowledge, no nothing. Because all I'm playing is payoff cards for the Farsights and the best fast cards available to me. Crack the Case and Shortcut might not be payoff cards for Farsight, but they're fast and incredibly powerful cards that can vomit out during my turns very efficiently. Burning the Midnight Oil, Cryptic Writings, Emergency Cache Level 2, Extensive Research, Seeking Answers, these last 2 especially are payoff cards in huge ways. Even Burning the Midnight Oil is fast action Investigate with Farsight, and you can throw deductions at that and perceptions, whatever. There's just so much payoff for the Farsights, and if you aren't getting Farsights in play, it's not like your deck is ruined. Seeking Answers still find 2 clues, Shortcut still moves you quickly, Cryptic Writings can still be played off of a draw card, and you're drawing a lot of cards. But once the Farsights are in play, and once you're getting all this passive draw to happen, the deck is just disgustingly fast. In that War of the Outer God scenario, the turn I ended it, even when I was editing the video, I didn't realize was the turn the game was going to end. He goes so quickly. He's able to draw through his deck like every 2nd or 3rd turn with no draw events. It's completely insane. He's able to set up very quickly because, yes, he runs 13 assets, but 2 of them don't need to be played unless you're fighting, in which case you do want them more than anything else in the game. 2 of them are Farsights, which immediately return the actions you're putting into them. 3 of them actually, because of Vault of Knowledge, are assets that draw cards, but those immediately pay for themselves in some form of positive output. And Pathfinder obviously immediately gives the action back. So the only things in the deck that aren't instantly giving you benefit when you play them are this Bulletproof Vest, Dr. Milan Christopher, and a bad Jeremiah Kirby, where you just get unlucky. And even saying that, you don't need to play the 2nd Christopher or Kirby. Going through your deck the first time through, there are only 3 assets you play that slow you down. The deck is incredibly fast. It doesn't look like it. It looks like every other 13, 17 asset deck that I build, where I'm like, wow, this has a lot of setup time. But then you go through and you realize that it just doesn't. Every asset you play instantly does something. And then it keeps doing it over and over recursively every turn. And it's insanely powerful. Farsight is legitimately one of the strongest cards in the game. It's essentially Leo DeLuca in an arcane slot, except it only costs 2. And you're only allowed to use it to play Seeker events. But that's okay, because Seeker events turn out to be pretty good. Seeking Answers, Extensive Research, and Burning the Midnight Oil are completely fine. It doesn't have to be a Seeker event. You can use Emergency Cache Level 2 as well, which is just a great card in Harvey because it's Emergency Cache, except it now triggers his ability and you get to draw 2 cards. There are only 2 characters in the game where I think they get to a point where they're finding so many clues, it doesn't matter if they go faster. One of them is this Harvey Walters deck in the late game. The other one is the late game Amanda Sharp build. And they're both disgustingly fast. They're not competing to see who can end the game with less doom. They're competing to see who can end the game with less agendas. That's how fast this Harvey Walters deck is finding clues once you're online. With 2 Farsights, a Pathfinder, and like an average of 1 Shortcut, 1 Crack the Case a turn, you're taking like 7 meaningful actions every turn. It's absolutely insane once you get set up, and as I've said, the setup time instantly pays for itself. You never feel like you're just spending a turn setting up. Sure, you might spend a turn playing Jeremiah Kirby, The World, and Pathfinder, but in that turn, Jeremiah Kirby probably hit 2 or 3 cards, The World hit a card, and Pathfinder moved you. Draw 3, move once, is not the worst turn in the world, especially when you're getting all of these assets into play that are giving you benefits every turn for the rest of the game. And I haven't really covered it yet, so I need to. You might think, oh, but you're Harvey. Thrice Damned Curiosity just kills you. You're not allowed to do this. But that's not true, because the Bulletproof Vest and Jeremiah Kirby's are just enough soak to tank through it. If you run something like Dream Enhancing Diary and you have unlimited hand size and you draw like an 18-card Thrice Damned Curiosity, yeah, it just kills you. It hits you for 6, you're dying. But I only run Vault of Knowledge. My max hand size is 10. Nothing in my deck is drawing 4 cards at a time like a Deep Knowledge or Cryptic Research would. I'm only ever going to be drawing a maximum of, like, let's say I've drawn several times and I make a mistake, and I draw like up to 13 or 14 cards from a start of 10 at the beginning of my turn. That's still only a 12-card Dread Curse. It doesn't round up. Or a 12-card Thrice Damned Curiosity, rather. That's only 4 damage. That's a Bulletproof Vest, or a Jeremiah Kirby and 2 health off of you. You've got 7 base health soak, so between Jeremiah Kirby's and Bulletproof Vest, you can just tank through Thrice Damned Curiosity over and over and over again. It might eventually kill you, but you should finish the scenario way, way before then. And for that to happen, you have to get horrifically unlucky. You have to repeatedly draw it before your Bulletproof Vest, and you have to repeatedly draw it on like 3 or 4 damage every single time. Bulletproof Vest, in my eyes, is almost a Harvey Walters card only. I've never seriously considered it in any other Investigator, but in Harvey Walters, it's legitimately the first thing I buy. Because once you have this, the way you play the game completely changes. The only question about Harvey Walters being insane is, how much experience does it take to look like this? How long does it take for him to be broken? And well, most of the experience in this deck isn't necessary to be broken. Seeking Answers really isn't that much better than Working a Hunch. Emergency Cache level 2 is very optional, it is very nice, but it's also not necessary. Extensive Researches don't have to be upgraded, again, it's just nice. This offensive package, it's fucking incredible, no one's arguing that, but you don't need it to do your job, you're not the fighter. Farsights are really important. Grizzly Totem and the World are both really important, but if you pick up a Dream Enhancing Serum until then, it's largely doing the same thing. So we're only at like 11 experience so far, 14 for the Bulletproof Vest, 17 for the Pathfinder, but that's really optional, so 17 for the Charisma, arguably 20 for the Pathfinder. The experience you need to have this Harvey Walters big hand idea fully online is not that much. And even at level 0, right, when you go into Scenario 1, Harvey Walters is a 5-book, 4-head Seeker. And the Seeker card pool is pretty good. He won't be completely busted Scenario 1, but he'll still be incredibly strong. He'll be very, very good. The extra draw from his ability will regularly help you or your team in a very meaningful way. The fact that it's able to be used on your teammates is the big thing. The thing where it goes from he's still very good in Scenario 1 to he's busted in Scenario 1 is that if your fighter's missing a card, if he just misses his weapon in the first scenario, Harvey can be like, it's cool, dog. I'll draw more cards later. You take this one. And just help him find that weapon faster. Harvey Walters is just insanely strong. I think he's probably the most criminally underrated Investigator in the game, because even though he's mono Seeker, Seeker cards won't for nothing. If Seekers weren't the best class in the game, maybe mono Seeker would cause him to have something that he wishes he had. But he doesn't. If I were terrified of Foot Test because of the campaign I was playing in, Harvey Walters might have a weakness. In which case, I could just, like, run William T. Mailson and be sad about it, but it would still protect me. He's just incredibly good. He's got incredibly well-split soak, plus the extra soak from being a monocolor Investigator. He's got an incredibly well-optimized stat line. He's the only character that gets to run double Farsight with only 2 assets of investment from his actual card pool, the deck that he built, and keep it maintained the entire game with no issues. He's the only character that gets to run double Farsight, and none of these events that you're playing with Farsight just draw cards. All of them are doing something else. When I see Farsight getting used on Deep Knowledge, it hurts my soul. Because you're just using big hand to have a big hand at that point. It's so inefficient. It's not the payoff it could be. It's still good, don't get me wrong. But compared to using Farsight on Seeking Answers and Extensive Research and burning the Midnight Oil with Deduction committed, it's nowhere near the same. Harvey Walters is just busted beginning to end, but especially at the end. He is one of the strongest late-game cloovers in the game, and in the early game he's still incredibly strong. Unfortunately, I haven't prepared a Taboo updated starter deck for him. Back when I was playing without the Taboo list, when I went through Circle Undone, I played this Harvey deck. It's arguably just really, really gross. Mr. Rook wasn't tabooed. Feed the Mind isn't a great card, but in Harvey it's pretty good, and it's even better when you have Knowledge's power, just as a disgusting draw combo. Because then you get to fast test Feed the Mind and then discard the Feed the Mind to usually draw 4 cards because your Harvey has a fast action. It's just gross. And I believe in this campaign I was going for an Ancestral Knowledge setup to get my big hand online faster. I don't think that's really necessary. But you can just see, like, there are so many cards in Harvey Walter at level 0 that are insane. You cut this Feed the Mind and this Knowledge of Power because the taboo list. You make room for a Practice Makes Perfect setup by cutting some of the non-practice skills. You cut the Mr. Rook, you put in a Kirby. The deck doesn't change that much with the taboo list. It's still insane. Oh, and by the way, without taboo, just like all Seekers, Harvey's much more busted because of Mr. Rook. It allows you to more quickly find your weakness when you're at a low card count at the start of a scenario. It allows you to very easily cut your second Milan, second Kirby, because you know you're going to find them anyway. It gives you completely expendable Soak, even better than Kirby, because you just don't care when Rook dies if he's out of secrets. It's just a disgusting card to be getting for 0 experience. That said, as far as Seekers doing broken things, Harvey Walters is largely unaffected by the taboo list. You look at this, he's spending 2 extra XP and Milan is a balanced card now. That's kind of it. Well, I guess, obviously, I'm running Jeremiah Kirby instead of Rook. That's also a change made because of the taboo list. But Harvey Walters largely isn't hurt by taboo that much. He does get better without it, like all Seekers do. But the taboo list very nearly does nothing to him. Anyway, I just wanted to get this deck tech out there and talk to you about how I build Harvey Walters. Now that I have a video of it up on the channel. Because he's an insane character. No one else gets to play double Farsight with almost no investment and get away with it. No one else gets to play anything that looks like this and have it feel like a consistent deck. But Harvey's got 2 draw just stapled onto the Investigator. And that lets him do some pretty weird things no one else gets to. He's able to run big hands so much better than anyone else. And as long as you're willing to waste a little bit of time replaying your Jeremiah Kirby's and buying a bulletproof vest, you really don't care about this weakness. It doesn't do a lot. Anyway, I've been rather incoherent. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you at least see where I'm coming from when I say Harvey is easily an S-tier Investigator, because what he does is just gross. Anyways, if you liked the video, then like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.